Back at home, Dion is busy preparing some delicious food, and Jin also walks into the living room and asks if she's making lunch. She responds that she's cooking for Grandpa and will save some for him to have later too. Jin reminds her that Grandpa is already at work. Dion explains she plans to take it to his workplace, just like she used to visit him there often, but hasn't ever since our boy came back home. Jin decides to tag along with her and seals the deal with a warm smile. Later, in the bustling city, we find Grandpa happily chatting with his fellow officer. The officer is teasing him, asking if he won the lottery or something, since he looks so cheerful since returning from vacation. Grandpa looks puzzled and asks what he means. The officer points out that he just looks unusually happy lately. Grandpa is confused by the teasing, and his friend further reveals that apartment 703 just gave them some snacks to share. He's told to drop by to grab him after his shift. Grandpa replies that he'll come by after he finishes sorting out the recycling. As the old man starts shoving down the trash into the bins, he reflects that he might have let himself get too excited about Jin's return, to the point where others have started to notice his happiness. Suddenly, Grandpa hears some commotion. He sees a thug slam on the brakes in the middle of the road and get out of his car. Another person behind him tells him to move his car instead of blocking the road. But this cocky guy just gets out of his sports car, holding 2 disposable glasses. With a smug attitude, he uses every name in the book to tell the other guy to shut up, saying he'll be back in a minute after tossing these glasses. The man in the car is visibly scared by the thug's attitude. The thug strides over to Grandpa and drops the 2 disposable glasses into the dustbin, but he's so careless that they just fall to the ground instead of making it into the bin, leaving Grandpa with extra work. The old promptly picks up the scattered trash. Meanwhile, the thug's girlfriend, who's still in the car, tells her boyfriend to throw this bag of trash as well. Reluctantly, he grabs the trash bag and throws it from a distance, not bothering to walk over to the bin. As expected, Grandpa ends up picking up the mess left behind by the inconsiderate duo. The thug zooms out of the place in his car, and just as Grandpa is busy putting the garbage to its rightful place, he hears a familiar voice and turns to find his children arriving to visit him. Although Grandpa is thrilled to see his children, he still asks what they're doing there. They reveal they brought lunch for him, but he insists they shouldn't have gone to the trouble. He can just buy something nearby. Dayon looks around and notices Grandpa is sorting out the recycling. He agrees, saying it's better to take care of it before it piles up and gets out of hand. The charming girl offers to help with the job, but Grandpa quickly tells her she doesn't need to get her clothes dirty. Dayon, however, has already made up her mind and brushes off his concern, saying she'll just wash them later. So they start sorting out the trash, with our hero quietly standing behind, beaming with happiness to be with the family. After a while, we see the girls blushing while looking in a certain direction. It wouldn't be surprising if they're admiring our boy's handsome face. In the background, we catch sight of Mr. Cha and his lackey, who have finally been discharged from the hospital and have been walking out from his apartment. Suddenly, Mr. Cha perks up when his eyes wanders at front and spots our boy sorting out some trash, and he has no clue what the hell he is doing there. Cha's lackey recognizes the old man and realizes he's the grandpa they saw when they went to get the kid. Hearing this, Cha quickly pieces it together and figures out that the girl must be our boy's sister. Seeing our boy smiling so warmly, Cha finds it fascinating that he knows how to smile after all, and he can finally see that he really does look like an average teenager. The lackey suggests they go over and say hello, but Cha decides against it, saying guys like them usually just end up ruining moments like that. Instead, he decides they should grab a bite to eat. We then see the sweet family having their lunch in the park. The 3 of them are enjoying themselves, eating and chatting away. Once they're done, Dayon waves goodbye, and they decide to head out. Once the evening strikes, the old grandpa is also done with his duty, and walks to his home while smiling pleasantly. Then, he notices that same Corvette he had seen in the noon when that thug came to throw that trash. The old man approaches the thug and reminds him that parking there isn't allowed because it blocks the entry and creates a hazard for children, so he suggests parking in the lot instead. The thug sneers and asks why he should listen to an old guy like him, making it clear he'll park his damn car wherever he wants. The old man tries to reason with him, but the blonde woman beside the thug threatens him, saying he's just a guard and wonders if he's trying to get fired. The old man keeps his smile and calmly explains that he knows he's paid by the residents, which is why he's asking them to park elsewhere to avoid causing trouble for others. The thug scoffs and says he won't park in the tiny parking lot because if another car scratches his, who's going to reimburse him for the damages? Grandpa is left without an answer, and the blonde woman sneers, doubting that Grandpa could cover the cost of the car. That's when Mr. Cha's lackey grabs the thug by the neck from behind. With a terrifying tone, he asks if this thug has no manners when speaking to his elders. The stupid head groans in pain and demands to know who's behind him. Cha's lackey leans in with a face that could scare ghosts and simply asks why he wants to know. The thug is absolutely terrified by the look Cha's lackey is giving him. The lackey yanks the thug away and tells him to shut up and move his car. He makes it clear that if he ever catches him giving this gentleman trouble again, he's going to make sure both of them get a serious beatdown. The disgusting couple quickly hops into their car and speeds away. Cha's lackey then smiles at the old man and asks if he's all right. Grandpa, unsure how to respond, simply says, "Thank you." The man then reminds Grandpa that Jin is his friend and that he saw Jin working with the old man earlier today. Grandpa's mind perks up and remembers that this man is the same guy who came to their home one day to meet Jin. The scene cuts to Mr. Cha's turf, where the lackey meets up with his boss. Cha's in good spirits despite his fractured hand, glad he can still enjoy a drink with his other hand. The lackey mentions that if he hadn't stepped in, Grandpa would have had even more trouble from that little punk. Cha chuckles and gives his friend a nod for his solid work, noting how disrespectful punks can be these days. Suddenly Jin barges in abruptly and he looks quite terrifying at first glance. Cha immediately starts sweating to see our guy this serious, because Jin is the last person he would want to mess with. He asks Jin why he's giving them this insane look. By the way, we've been referring to this man as Cha's lackey for a while now. Since we don't know his name yet, let's give him one and call him Muscle Man. Jin pulls out his phone and shows a selfie of Muscle Man with Grandpa. Grandpa also had told our boy that one of his friends lives in the apartment where he works. Muscle Man starts blushing, feeling pretty pleased as well as embarrassed with himself. Meanwhile, Jin looks absolutely furious and asks Muscle Man if this is some kind of threat. Cha and his lackey are terrified that Jin is taking this the wrong way, and they definitely don't want to get on the bad side of our MC. As our boy's anger boils over, Muscleman starts to stagger and quickly tries to explain that it's just a gesture of goodwill, begging Jin to listen before taking any action.